For the longest time, I've been super interested in ancient civilizations, specifically in Egypt. I've had questions in regard to our history, um, not only if it's accurate, but also like timelines. So this new book has been opening my mind in a sense of like what we have been told over the years, maybe half of the truth. I am dedicated in finding ways to not only connect this with how we can evolve and how us humans can expand our minds, but also not attach ourselves to these thought patterns or forms that we've identified ourselves with over the years. It's called The Nine Waves of Creation. It's about quantum physics, holographic evolution, and the destiny of humanity. Not only does this book talk about these ancient civilizations, but they're able to correlate with quantum physics how our consciousness as a human race, we have been evolving, and there's certain layers to it. It's like a radio station for how we dictate how we view the world, and some of the thoughts that we think and some of the beliefs that we've been holding on to for so many years aren't even ours. And it's not that it's been only pummeled into us by society or by our parents, but it's actually from a radio frequency, some kind of signal that's coming from our outer space that is impacting us on a cellular level. We learn this from school, we learn this from, magazines and things like that, from modern scientists, mainstream scientists, that we've evolved and that there was a big bang, right? What if I were to share with you in this book, it has evidence from reputable, credible scientists that aren't mainstream that have found a correlation with that blast of stars, the brightness that we saw in the universe, that we've seen photos of. It was the beginning of our time, but not only that, it also came with a special code. Along with the Big Bang came with this cosmic tree. The ancient people knew about these stars. The ancient people knew about the frequency that was coming from these the universe and from this cosmic tree. How is it that there are just pyramids all around the world? It's not like the ancient people of our Earth used to have a cell phone. They didn't have the technology that they do nowadays. How they were able to be on the same wavelength or that same mindset, in a sense of designing very similar structures, ancient structures, is that they had information that was being downloaded to them, and they were a lot more open and available for this information. They didn't have the distractions that we do nowadays. Their minds were more open and in tune with to receive that information. And I'll fast forward to how we can correlate this with being able to create the reality that we are so hoping to create in a little bit. It helps us as a as a people, as a society, to take our power back and to understand and know that there are forces that are beyond us that are somewhat emitting a kind of frequency. Imagine if there was like a radio station that was playing a certain kind of music, and it was kind of morose. It was kind of like melancholy music, like it's kind of low, sad, and then the lyrics were talking about heartbreak and things like that. And that music had just been going along and playing in the background for years. As a society, if we're going to be listening to that kind of music and believing it to be true, do you understand how, or could you understand how we believe to be true heartbreak and life might be a little bit more glum and things like that? But we have to have a strong base, a strong foundation in order for us to reject that information. Many people operate this way, but it's going to be almost like a battle, in a sense of you have to have courage and you have to reject the norm. And a lot of people want to go into fear knowing this information, in a sense of, okay, well, if we're set up to fail, basically, then what's the point? And that's what I find this book to be so interesting is it talks about how mainstream scientists have come out with how atheism works for them and how they believe that the earth and humans were made by accident, and that we just showed up someday and we've just been floating on a rock in space with no direction. And this book talks about how the ancient people knew what we were experiencing was sacred. And so it's just a invitation. This conversation is an invitation to question as to what is it that makes you excited, or what is it that you can tap into that will help you remember how lucky we are to be experiencing what we are right now, with the sun on our skin, with the trees looking just right, with the clouds flowing by. Like, how can we as humans fall back in love with what we're experiencing, and not take what's happened to us or the thoughts that we have throughout the day, whether they're self-depreciating or a lot of fear-based thoughts, without letting that get to us. We are here for a reason, and that we can make an impact. And the more that we live in fear and agitation and frustration, the less that you're able to experience the heaven on earth.